case I decided to use it. You can see a little bit of my dog. Hello. Hey there friends, join me in my cash stuffing journey as I try to find and share ways to help fellow neurodivergent brains get on top of their finances and make the process fun and engaging. Feedback and suggestions are always welcome in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy what I do. Thanks, and on to the video. Hello, it's Jessie from Neurodivergent Budgets here. You'll probably hear my dog Stolas wandering around. He's out and about with me today. And so today I'm finally making the rest of the video I intended to make with the last one. Originally I was supposed to introduce all my binders and update my trackers, and if you didn't watch the last video, I just kind of got really tired. It had been a really long day for me. I was filming at like midnight to 1 in the morning. My brain was starting to move slower, so I just decided to wait and do it again. And originally I was going to just maybe film this and add it, but the condensing was already a long video, so I just decided to make this a third video, aka kind of a part 2, just because I originally introduced this in the other video. I mean, for those who don't know, I have ADHD, and so like I said in the intro, my whole entire point of this is to try to find and share ways that have helped me with my financial journey for other neurodivergent people, or any neurotypicals who also would like to take advantage of some of the tips, tricks, and just ways I found that work for me. I do eventually want to get into a budget video, but you know, that's for later. So yeah, I'll get into the budgeting later, but just as kind of a quick glance into the way I do it, just because I feel like it ties in, I'll put a screenshot in here just showing, you know, the way I do things. And so if you do want more details into how I do this and how I made it work for me and my brain, and really what it comes down to is my inability to make decisions about where to put my money, then, you know, let me know in the comments that is in fact a video you'll be interested in, and stay tuned for that. So today I'm going to go through each of my binders as I'm doing my tracker update and just kind of explain the binder, explain maybe some of the different folders. Some of them are self-explanatory. And we'll just go from there. So I'm just gonna go left to right as I like to do. So I'll start with this. This was in my last video, but just to go again in case anyone missed it. This is the little book I chose to just do my expenses tracker in. I just wanted something simple. If I needed to bring it with me, it's small enough to fit in my purse. Otherwise, it just stays here on my desk and I just update it when I come home. And this is the first page, or not the first page, but the only page I filled out. So if you see these highlighted sections here and you missed the last video, this is where I mark them off. So as I've pulled the expenses to pay myself back, they get highlighted. So if, say, the one that I wasn't sure if I was going to pay this time or not and I ended up paying was my food, right? So say I hadn't decided to pull this out just yet for whatever reason, I ended up pulling it on my grocery budget. Maybe if I had decided that, you know, I couldn't pull from groceries this time and I didn't really have anywhere else and I was short on money or whatever, I would have just left it blank to do after the next cash stuffing. And you can see here, I meant to do this the very next day, but it has actually been a couple days. I had work both days, and by the time I came home, I just really didn't want to film. I wasn't in the right mind space. So today's my day off, so I'm getting ahead of it. It's earlier in the day. It's about noon. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to just kind of show what I do for work. So I do get some things. I'm able to buy some things at work. So the way I've decided I'm going to show those expenses and break them down is in the first line, it's just work, and then instead of putting a category, I just put the number of items that I bought, which card I used, and how much the total was. And then in these, I break them down by how many items are for which categories, and put them behind, and then I have divided this number by this number, and then I just multiply that number to figure out what the cost was for those categories. So, and you see I used a different card this time, so I just used initials. And if it was my debit card, it would be a D, but these are both my credit cards. So when it comes time for the next cash unstuffing, we'll go through, we'll pull all of these totals to pay myself back for that. So that's kind of the way I'm doing my expenses. Now I'll pull these out together. This little baggie, I love this. We used to put our receipts in this, but I kept forgetting about them in here, so now they stay in my binder where it's in a clear zipper envelope and I can see them, which helps me remember to do them, even though I haven't done the ones I need to do yet, but I'm gonna do that in just a minute. But so those right now are storing some trackers that I need to laminate. I don't currently have my own laminator, so I borrow the one at work. So for now, they're just going in here for me to take to work. And that's really shiny on camera, so I'm gonna put it off to the side for a second. So this one is my budget binder. And I used to have a really big binder, especially when I was budgeting for everyone. They had their own sections, but when I was at work, we actually had a cash budgeting kit come in and I had needed more envelopes, so I bought this. That's where some of these shinier, I don't know if they're in camera right now, but some of the shinier labels have come from. They were part of this kit. So, but this binder is actually a different texture. I don't know if it even comes across on camera, but these are all like smooth, and then this one's more of, what would you call this? I guess maybe it's like a vinyl texture. I'm not sure, honestly. I'm really bad with texture names. I just know that it would have really bothered me to use this for any of my normal budgeting categories because it's different. So I decided to transfer this to being my budget book. It's nice and small, it could stay with the others, and I really didn't need all the space anymore because, again, most of my budgeting is done online. So I'll just show you some of the things that are kept in here, and like I said, there are more trackers I'll show you in a minute. So much clicky clacky from Stolas. So you'll see it came with a calculator, so I finally have that, and it does have this. I haven't used this ruler yet because I have a better one that's metal, and I don't really like the flimsy rulers, but I kept it in here. And then this is the key to my lockbox, so I just keep it in here. For those of us who have ADHD, you know, it's best to keep things where you're going to know to look for them. So my lockbox is used for budgeting, so it's in my budgeting book. There's not even anything in my lockbox right now, and I do have a second key somewhere else, but I'd rather have this one stay nearby. So next you'll see these fake credit cards. I don't know about you guys, I get a lot of credit card offers because I have really bad credit right now. So, you know, credit card companies send you out massive things to try and get you to enroll with them. And I really liked these specific ones. They didn't have too much going on, so I had been saving them, and I was like, I'll figure out something to do with it. Maybe I'll make a game with them or something else. But what I decided to do is my credit card category actually has 3 things coming out on the same day. So just as a visual reminder, because visual reminders work really, really well for my brain, each of these cards represents the 3 things that are paid and budgeted in that credit card category. You'll see I've split up a lot of categories that most cash stuffers just count as one thing, and that's because for my brain, I need to have certain things separated in order to remember that that's a category inside that budget. So credit cards is one of the only ones that actually is multiple things combined. So what I did is I wrote the credit limit at top, or in this one's actually not a credit card, but this is paying off a credit card. So that's why I included it in that. It's a credit card that was in collections, and they called me, they offered to drop it down to $1,000 and do only a $30 a month payment. And that actually was able to work for my budget. I hope you can even see these writings on screen. Let me see if I can lift it a bit. It's on some see-through sticker tape, and it was written with a dark color on a dark background, so I don't know how well they show up, but I can see them. But yeah, so credit limit is at the top, just so that I have a quick glance without having to double check. And it has my, not my monthly minimums necessarily, but the amount I pay a month. And what I mean by that is my Golden West, the minimum is $35, but I just have always, I managed to get myself up to $50, and I tried to never let myself go back from that. So I know that if I can't make $50, if it's been a really low income month for me, then I know that I can drop it down to 35 and still be okay. But I always want to plan to budget for the 50, and the $1 is the charge for the ACH. So that's why it just has 51, then 35, then 30, which adds up to 116, which is how much I budget in the credit cards category for the month. So next are my trackers. You saw this one if you watched my first cash stuffing video. But so this is my cash denomination tracker. So I'll kind of just do a demonstration of what I do. So these, okay, good. I thought I just ripped it, but it just pulled itself out, which actually works because I would pull it out for this anyway. So these right here are the trackers I made to go through my budget to figure out my denominations. And they're broken down by house binder. And as you can see, they're all color coded based on the binder. Sorry if you can hear Stolas in the background. He's finally eating, and I'm going to let him do that because he's been kind of sick, so he's been really timid with eating. But so each of these has 4 of my binders on them. You'll notice a lot of my stuff doesn't have these last 2 binders over here. These are our binders for Quinn and I's crochet company, Quintessential Stitch. So these only really get stuffed when we have an order, and we haven't had an order for a while. But they're all going to be tracked and everything in a different space because it's not a personal budgeting thing, it's a business thing. And it's just easier for me the more I keep business separated from personal, because then when it comes time to find everything, it's all in one place and I don't have to dig through all of my records. So if we ever get an order again, then I'll go through the entire process of that with you in a separate video. But so say we're going through the videos, right? Going through my budgets. And we'll just start with bills, right? So this is for personal bills and house bills. I just count them all as one. So let's say I'm pulling out our phone bill, which each of our contributions are $95. So I use tally marks. So it would be 50, 70, 90, and 5. And then maybe I'm also pulling out YouTube, which is 10. And then maybe, let's see, we have groceries. So that's another $50 bill I'm going to use. And then maybe I'm pulling out, let's say, my bark box, which is 30. So it'd be 20 and 30. Then what I do when I'm finished with that category, you see this line here, that's where I'm going to total up the dollar amount that it is. Because again, I talked about it with this one, just looking at the number of bills confuses my brain. I've worked in banking, I've done customer service all my life, but for some reason when I'm just like, oh, it's this many bills, that confuses me. So I prefer working with totals. So we have 250s here, so that's $100. So write that there. 20, 40, 60, 20, and then a 5. And then just to show adding up, let's say I have in adulting, I've got my vape budget for the month, and we'll say this time I got to have 50, and then maybe $5 for food and $10 for gas. So then I would write a 5 there, a 10 there, and a 50 there. Obviously, I would be going through all my binders. I stuff a lot of them, but excuse me, but we're just assuming this is a month where I could only pay these 2, right? He's sliding his little food thing around. So then what I do, I would take this, and then, okay, we have nothing for ones, so I would either, I'd probably just leave it blank. That's what I did last time. But then for 5s, then I would just go down and total it. So I have $10 total in 5s, and then I have 30 in 10s, 60 in 20s, and 150 in 50s. And so then I would add this up. So let's see, that's 100, that's a 150, so it's 250. And then after this dries for a second, I would be able to just move this into my wallet. And again, that's part of why I have my wallet be just the same size binder, right? Is so that I can just take all my trackers or my envelopes with me. So then I would just take this and I would put it in my wallet and go with me. And then because it's all laminated and I use an expo marker, oh, okay, well, I need to let it dry for a second. This is a different expo marker than I've been using because it actually shows up more, so I guess I'll give it a second. What a great demonstration of how well it works is for it to not work. And then yeah, when it's all dry and everything, I'll just come back through it and I'll wipe it clean. There we go. It just needed a second. Yeah, like I said, this one usually it wipes off better the longer I let it sit. I've been using a different one, but it was dying, so yeah, I would just wipe it clean and it's ready to go for next time, right? I'll wipe the rest of it clean later. Now, the other thing I wanted to get into are these little slips of paper. Every single one of my binders has these in the front pocket. What these are, one of the first things I decided when I was budgeting was I wanted to set aside, or I wanted to decide from the beginning, sorry, I keep getting distracted by labels that are peeling up. I wanted to decide from the very beginning what was gonna happen with my money at the end of the year, right? So a lot of us, you know, dollar savings challenge, coins challenge, all of that gets redistributed. Some people do savings challenges. I knew that if I ever got to a spot where my categories started having more money than I was ever spending, that would demotivate me, or it would increase my problem of not knowing where to put my money. So one of the things I decided from the get-go is that I'm going to redistribute a lot of my binders at the end of the year. So one of the things I decided was the money was getting redistributed, right? And so I went back and forth, and that's the thing too, is don't be afraid to change things up constantly until you finally find the way you want to do things. I've rewritten my redistributions about 5 times at least, and like with my binders changing up and everything, I've done it a lot. And that was part of the reason why after this time I wrote down my trackers, because when I was just doing it all digitally, it was really easy for me to just decide to change around or add categories or anything. So by writing it down physically in a tracker where I have to do it, I don't want that tracker to look weird by me adding or taking out anything. So that's my way of saying to myself, at least until the year is over, I can't change anything about my binders. I can't add any category or add any folders. I can't take any away. That's how they're gonna stay until for the rest of the year. Beginning of the year, if I want to change things up, I can. And next year I'll probably do every quarter. I'll track so that they have to stay that way for 3 months. And then if I want to change things, I can. But that's just a little tip. Go ahead, take some time, if you feel like you want to change things, add things, adjust, whatever, that's fine for a while. You can change things up, just, at some point, be settled with it, set a timeline for yourself where, okay, I can't change anything until this, I'm just going to focus on this current plan, and then we'll go from there and see after that time ends, do I want to change anything? That's my biggest tip, especially for people with ADHD, because I know we can get really into big picture, right? Which is part of what this is I had a big picture plan, and to keep myself from being disappointed about not working, I made the plan for the future. I wrote it out so that by the time it gets there, I'll already have a plan for what to do. And it helped kind of take that big picture dream of what I want my cash budgeting to be and make it more realistic. So, for example, this one is specifically to do with my budget things that aren't about my binders. So, coins, and if it has an asterisk here, that means it's not necessarily something to do with the end of the year. So for coins, instead of doing end of the year, we're just going to cash out whenever the thing gets full. If it doesn't get full by the end of the year, then it gets cashed out at the end of the year no matter what. But if it gets full before then, we're going to cash it out early. So it says coins get cashed out when full, divide into my house projects at our discretion. And then my dollar jar, and again, I do have a J jar, which by the way, if anyone noticed in the last videos, I did put it in the editing, but I did notice what I did with that J bill. I couldn't stop laughing at myself and be just amazed I didn't notice. But again, it was very late. My brain was moving at a weird pace the whole day because I had been stuck in a waiting room in a doctor's office for like an hour without my headphones, without being able to do anything. So it was a long day. But I did fix that. But so my J bills might be part of this. I might decide to do something with them. It just depends on how many I find. But the dollar jar savings, 50% of whatever I get is going to be divided into my different stocks, which I do have a stock tracker, and I was going to show this then because I forgot to. I did actually want to include a June section for that. You'll see what I mean there. But I do my stocks with the Stash app. I've found it just really helpful, really easy to use. So every paycheck, I automatically have $6 going into it. And what that divides out as is just simply $1 into each of my 5 different stock portfolios, and then $1 into my general stock portfolio just to act as a buffer for the subscription payment, or so I could take from there and not be something that I wasn't expecting unbudgeted coming out of my debit account. Or if it reaches a certain point, then I'll redistribute it either evenly or I'll, it's just an extra $1. So that automatically gets transferred every single paycheck. So that's nice. So 50% would be divided into my stocks, and then 50% will go to my debt payoff. So that's, at least for this year, that's what my dollar jar is going to go towards at the end of the year. So I don't have to think about it when we go to count it all up. I just automatically know where they're going. Ally accounts. So I don't currently have any Ally accounts set up, but it is my plan to hopefully be able to get an Ally account because of the savings buckets. So as soon as I'm able to transfer money into Ally, I want to get one opened, but I already came up with a plan for everything as if I get the Ally. If I don't get the Ally, then I'll figure out a different account to use, but for now, you'll see I just wrote Ally on everything because that is the plan. I liked them the best out of the ones I looked at for what I need it for. So my Ally accounts, what I want to do is I'm going to total up all the interest that's earned and then divide it evenly between specifically my future envelopes. So if I make like $10 in interest on Ally, I want to just take that out and put it in my future envelope, because to me, I'm like, that's the point of the investing, is to go towards my future, right? So I just thought that was a good way for me to actually utilize the interest and put it somewhere and not just have it be extra money, because then I might just start slacking on some of my stuffing if I'm just like, oh, well, I have an extra like $200 because of interest. Like, no, I still want to make sure I'm stuffing into the categories that need to be added into, and so I'm going to add it to the future. And then I do also have a savings with Golden West, which is what my credit card is through. And you'll see later when we get to debt payoff, but debt payoff will be going into there because my grandma also has one. So even though they're even though their APY is very, very minimal, it's not really about the interest or anything for that one. It's just one specific thing for one specific purpose, which I will explain when I get to that folder. But if I do happen to earn any interest on that one, because it's the same account as my credit card, any earned interest will just go straight to adding to my credit card payoff if I haven't paid that card off. So that is what that one is. And before I move on to the next folder, I'll just show the other. I have a couple other trackers that will be added in here. So this one's my utilities tracker. This was one of the main things that I had in my other one that I need to have back, but before it was a full bill page for Gabe's bills, and it included utilities. But now that we're focusing on making sure the utilities are paid, I wanted to have my own little sheet. I just used some nice little stickers I found around in my sticker book, because honestly at that point I was tired of really what it was I was tired of drawing out trackers. So these were all made as simple as possible, but they were. So once this is laminated, it'll be just like my other trackers, where I just use an expo marker on it to write it out. And then I'll just put like a little check mark or something once we get it paid if we have to split it up. So that I know which ones were paid already and which ones we still needed more money on, but I should be good on these. So that's my utilities tracker. And then this is just a little to-do sheet for Quinn and I. So my color is teal and Quinn's is yellow, and this was the closest I had. So basically just the month is gonna go here. Same thing, these are all with expo marker. But Quinn's name will go here, and then it's just a place for us to put down any of our financial to-dos. It's not really, you know, this is a budgeting book, so it's not really just generalized to-dos, but if there's anything financial we need to take care of, we can write it down here. And then we both have 2 little notification bells, and that just represents a specific date we need to pay attention to that month. Say we have an extra payment on something coming out, or an added expense that we weren't expecting that'll be coming out, like a doctor's or something like that. Then we'll just write down the dates here. So very simple. And then this, if you guys watched my cash unstuffing and condensing, this is basically what I used that day, but this is the actual version of it. So when I unstuff, especially like bills, or when I get to the point where I can do prop swaps, just the amount, what it's from, and where it's going, and then each thing that has a possibility. So checking, credit cards, which I do actually need to, I might need to split that up, I might not, we'll see. But checking, credit cards, stash, Ally, and Golden West savings. And then I'd have the total down here. So I might make a different version of this, but that's the simple version for now. So those are the trackers that once I get laminated will be added to the budget book as well. I was supposed to take them to laminate yesterday and I did forget about them, but I was also running a little late. So next we'll move on to my personal bills. Make sure I'm still in frame, yes. And I'll start off before we go into anything else. So these are my personal bills, right? So here is the sheet for this one. So personal bills and household bills are a little bit different in how I do the redistributions. You'll see I wrote here, I'm only redistributing any money over a month ahead of my bills. So if I'm not a month ahead of my bills in an envelope, it doesn't get touched. If I have, so rent, you can see here, a month ahead would be $400 in my envelope by the end of the year after that month's rent has already been paid. So say I had 500, only 100 of it would be moved, right? So that's what I mean. So anything extra in rent will go towards my new house. I think that just makes sense. Anything from BarkBox, which is the subscription box for my dog, that will get divided between my pet binder by the percentage, which means the percent that I divide, or in the percent in my budget sheet. So again, I have a percentage for the category and then a percent of that percent for each folder. It'll make sense when I walk through it. And then NailNet, which is obviously student loans. Anything extra is going to be an extra payment. Same for my Weber, which is, it's also student loans. Or no, it's not student loans. It was a semester at my college, my last semester. A situation happened with my finances. I was not able to pay for the semester. And so I'm working on getting that paid off now. We worked out an agreement right before they sent it fully to collections. So anything extra in Weber would make an extra payment. And same thing with credit card, but again, there's two cards in that category. So anything extra in my credit card goes as an extra payment on the card with the least available credit. So one of my credit limits is $1,500 and the other one's $500 at the moment. So I'm not going to worry about the credit limit, just whatever the least available, or the current balance, just whatever the least available credit is. So if I have $50 on my Golden West that's available, but only $20 on my Merrick, I'm going to pay extra on the Merrick, right? And then anything in my annual, which is Yarn Buddy, but I put annuals in case I do end up keeping this for next year and I end up adding more annuals in my personal. But anything in my annuals that's extra goes into my oh shit, which again is my emergency fund. So with the bills binder specifically, you will notice I used to have these color coded, but so anything in the bills binders with the purple background is the updated. If it's got a yellow one, it's still what I had in the very beginning, and I'm going to change some things about how I wrote them and everything. So you'll see this is my rent. This is my amount that I need to have in here in order to be a month ahead. And this is the due date. And if you're like me and you struggle with keeping track of everything, my biggest tip to you is write it down in as many places as possible. Everything is color coded on my phone's calendar. I have it all down here, what days they are, what the amount that's due is. I have it in a couple other places. I have it in a sheet that I will show you at the very end. So yeah, that is my biggest tip, is write it down in as many places as possible so that you see it everywhere. And then it'll always be like, it'll start becoming a thing that you're just like, oh yeah, this needs to be taken care of, that needs to be taken care of. And even if you don't, when you're looking through something, you'll see it and then you'll be like, oh, right, gotta do that. So it's one of those things that it seems self-explanatory, but it's not really a thing you think about until you think about it, you know? Does that make any sense? I don't know. But so we have rent, and then like I said, BarkBox is my dog's monthly subscription. We had canceled it for a while, and then I felt comfortable enough to add it back into the budget, and it's really, really helpful for me. It comes with a couple treats, a couple toys, and so Stolas always has something new coming in, and I don't have to remember like, oh yeah, I need to go get him treats or anything like that, which means when it comes time to training, he's got a lot of variety of treats that I can grab, or new toys I can use for training, things like that. So BarkBox is about $32 with tax, and it's also usually comes out on the 1st. Sometimes it's a little bit different, but it's usually on the 1st. And I am actually, I'm technically a month ahead in that, I believe. Oh yeah, I am. I actually have extra in here. Did I not realize that before? I think when I did my cash unstuffing, I just assumed there was 30 in here, but there is actually 50. So we're extra on this. Oh, which actually brings me to a good point. Even when I get month ahead, I know a lot of people who are month ahead in the cash stuffing community. Once they're a month ahead, they only pay what they need and then they keep their binders clear. But part of my financial journey is I've struggled a lot where I've had months where I randomly lose work. I worked as a caregiver during COVID, so sometimes we just had like a month where I couldn't go back because somebody had COVID, right? So I want to make sure that each individual bill is fully prepared for. Just having a generalized bill buffer would not work for me, right? Because then it's just an extra space of money that is just like, well, where do I use this? So what I'm going to do is once I get a month ahead, and actually the real goal is to be able to round up all my numbers. But once I get a month ahead, I'll stuff less into every category, but I'm still going to add money to them. So it's just going to continue to grow, which is where we get money over a month ahead of bills, right? Like if I was just doing a month ahead of bills, there wouldn't be any money left over. But I'm gonna keep stuffing, and then afterwards, like say BarkBox is a perfect example. If this was the end of the year and I only needed $32, I could take out, let's see, 18? Yeah. I could take out $18 to redistribute to the pets binder. So that's what I mean by that. So I'm still going to be adding money even when I'm a month ahead. And then when everything's a month ahead and I'm able to switch to that plan, like I said, I'm hoping if it's in my budget, I can just round up every number. So 32, I would put in 35. That way, just like there's still extra money always coming in to act as a backup in case something happens. So next is student loans. This is Nelnet. Now this one is still, anyone who has the student loans probably still knows, we're still currently on deferment from COVID. It's really been so nice because it's meant that I don't have to stress about that. But so that's why there's $20 in here, is because now that we got the notice that it is going to officially like start coming back soon, I want to make sure I'm saving up for that. So I'm putting in a little bit here and there, but when that comes back, I think the number's like 65 or something, but it's the same thing as with my credit card. I started trying to get myself to pay more, and the number I was at was $70. So even though that's not my actual minimum, I'm going to pretend it is. So that's why I just write it down as that fact, as if that's my due, which is another tip. Like if you want to pay extra, treat the number that you want to pay as your due amount. That's your minimum amount. It's not, it's $70, but I can pay 65, because then what are you gonna do? You're always just gonna pay 65. So I just say it in my mind, student loans, it's $70, that's what's due, that's that. And same thing with my Golden West. Like if I have to, I can drop down, and I know that I can, but in my brain, the minimum amount that's due is $50 every month, and that's what I stick to. So that's my student loans. So Weber, again, I already kind of explained that, so it's the same thing. Weber's due on the 15th, and it's $135 is the agreement that I came to with the school, because that was my car payment, and I had just finished paying off my car about a month before Weber got in touch with me. And so when they got in touch, I was just like, well, I was already used to paying $135. Is that a number we can do? And they said yes. So that's why it's that. And then I already talked about my credit cards. It's $116 for all three. So that's just the number that's here. And as long as I have $116, all of those payments will go through. And that's on the 25th. And I think my credit cards, one of them's the 25th, one of them is technically the 29th, and then the Midland, which is the credit company that I'm working with to pay, or not credit company, the debt collector that I'm working with to pay back that outstanding debt. They just set it up for the last Friday of every month. But to make it simple for myself, I've set all of my auto payments for my credit cards on the 25th, and I double checked, and pretty much every month, if I make sure that the money's in my account by the 25th, Midland will also get paid when they pull out. So same kind of concept as the dollar amount, it's just the 25th, right? That's the due date. Doesn't matter what the others are, I need the money there by the 25th. Then this one, you'll see this is a green envelope. Now this is the same in my household bills, which has the other index cards. It used to be all my monthlies were yellow and my annuals were green, but since I had to change up everything when I tried to peel off the stickers on the index cards, it started peeling stuff away. That's why it's just switched to the purple. But green means it's an annual. Now this is the only annual that actually is active right now. The 3 that are in household bills, we're saving up to have as an annual. They're either accounts that we are currently using or things that we want to have, but we're waiting until we can save up for it steadily. So the amount that I need is actually, I believe Yarn Buddy is actually only a $15 charge. And what Yarn Buddy is an app that I use for our crochet business. It helps you keep track of like your crochet projects and everything. And I just decided to upgrade to Yarn Buddy because when I upgraded, I got to have a timer, which was useful for us calculating our prices. And there were just like more projects that I could have and just some other little things that I found useful, like product tags and everything else. So that's why I went with it. It's due on January 16th. I think the total is 15, but I put 20 on there just to make sure I had a little bit extra in there. And I don't have it on here, but it's like, I mean, it's about $1 a month, right? But I stuff extra. But when I redo these, I will include like how much needs to be added a month in order to stay on track for it. Just, again, visual reminders everywhere. As many visual reminders as possible makes it a lot easier to stay on top of it, especially when you have as many binders, as many bills as I do. The more visual reminders you have, just the easier it is to focus. So next we'll go through household bills. So now this one you'll see also has a prop swap. So for those who don't know what a prop swap is when you reach a certain amount in your binders, you swap out the money for a prop bill. So here's one of mine. Not gonna be able to use them anytime soon, but I wanted to get them ready. And I saw, I think it was Black and Blue, Erica, she uses washi tape on hers. And I loved that idea, and I had washi tape that's been sitting around my house for forever that I didn't know what to do with. So these are just fake $100 bills, right? And I just decorate them in washi tape. So basically what would happen is if I get $100 in a category that needs every 100 for me to take it out and put it in the bank, then this would go in to represent that money. And I don't want to use prop bills in every single category. Some of them I want to keep the money in cash and readily available to use. Others are moving too much in and out, like most of my bills. There's no point in me taking out money to go put in my savings account because I need that money, right? So there's no point in doing a prop swap for most of them. And then even some that I'm swapping, I don't want to swap every $100. There's a couple I want to swap every $500 because when I might need to use it is over $100. So there's no point in me putting in every 100 if I might need to use like 120 of it. It makes more sense to me to just leave that in my binder. So I put those in there as well so that I could use them. You'll see I have something crossed out here. It's because I wrote the wrong thing. I wrote it here. It was supposed to be in my house funds binder, not my house bills binder. So oops. And I noticed after I wrote everything and I didn't want to rewrite it. So I just crossed it off. So prop swap. These are both $100 and it's only for my annuals and for my taxes. I don't know what Quinn wants to do with their taxes, but for me it's every $100 in my taxes, and you'll see an A here, and that just stands for Ally. So these will be what goes into my Ally savings account. And then the end of the year redistributions for those two. Annuals, my needed amount stays, the rest goes into the oh shit category. And then taxes, again, it has a little asterisk here, which means not necessarily the end of the year. What this one is after the taxes are filed. So after I've filed my taxes, if I have money left over that I didn't use, 10% is going to stay as just kind of a help for the next buffer, and then the rest will get divided between my stocks. And then this is another one where it's like special, like the last, so this is money over a certain dollar amount. That one was money over a month ahead. but I decided to do a dollar amount for the household bills. So YouTube, anything over 60 goes to my oh shit. Phone, anything over 200 goes to an extra payment directly on our phones, not on the like bills, but just directly to our phones to get them paid off. Amazon, anything over 250, because that's about the highest that I've had for a subscribe and save. So anything over 250 will go into our house funds. State Farm, which is our car insurance, anything over $100 goes into the oh shit. Internet over 150 goes into our office category. Gas, anything over 100 goes into home repair. Water, 150 goes to yard. Electric, 25 goes to home repair. Buffer, 100 goes to new home. And you can see all the categories, well, not all, but most of the categories for the redistribution, I wanted it to tie to its original category. So, right, so internet to the office makes sense because in an office you need internet, right? Water to the yard because we, you know, water the grass and everything, blah, 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 whatever. But like Amazon, our extra money for our Amazon, again, our Amazon is a subscribe and save for household supplies. It's not for Amazon Prime. So any money that we didn't spend on household supplies with our subscribe and save goes into our house funds for the house to use. So things like that, I tried to really keep the redistributions, and if they didn't have a corresponding category to get moved to, that's when they just go towards the emergency fund, or as like my stocks is kind of, the idea with the stocks is like rewards for adulting goes towards saving money in an adult way. I don't know, that's the mentality I had. So YouTube Premium, you can see this is the yellow one, so these numbers don't matter. Originally what these goals were we put them on here for if we got that amount, we wouldn't stuff anything else in that category until we needed more in there. Like if we had to use YouTube, we'd stuff to get back up to 60 and then we'd stop. We're not really doing it that way anymore. Like I said, it's going to just continue adding, just maybe less. So instead of a goal, it would have, when I remake this, it'll have the actual monthly payment, which is about 32 with tax. But still same thing, the due date in the top. So anything with the yellow will be changed later. You can see we have cell phone at 188 on the 8th. I'm just gonna kind of flick through most of these. Bills are pretty self-explanatory. Amazon subscription, again, this was the yellow one, so we had wanted to have 200 and we'd stop, but that's definitely not what we're doing anymore. Car insurance is on the 17th at $91. And then these, you'll see the utilities don't have the due dates or anything. And that's because I haven't decided if I want to include the actual dates for the bills, if I want to set a due date for myself, like the 20th, where they have to get paid so that we just don't have to worry about it. And they also don't have the amounts because they change. But what I might do is, we did have an estimated amount that we need to reach each month based on averages, and I might put that number on, but they haven't been added yet because I just haven't decided. So we have our internet, our gas, our water, our electric. Now I did talk about not having a generalized bill buffer because I didn't know where to go with it. The exception is utilities, and that's just because of the fact that we're estimating, right? We're estimating what these numbers are gonna be. We don't have a set amount for them. So the bill buffer is there in case our estimate was under for the month and we don't have enough money in the fund, then we can take from here. So it's not a generalized bill buffer necessarily, it's just a, if we underestimated, then this is here. And I did add this after I did like the prop swap thing, and I haven't decided yet if I want to do prop swap in bill buffer. I probably won't, but I'll just wait and see. If I'm noticing I'm starting to get a lot of money in there that we don't have to use, then I probably will. But for now, no. And then again, these are our annuals. These ones are actually combined. There's 3 of them here, but I just combined them into one. So let me take them out so I can show you. So you'll see these don't have a due date yet, and that's because, like I said, these ones aren't actual annuals. They're ones we're saving up for. So for Crunchyroll, it's about $100 for the annual. For the membership we want to do, we had a Crunchyroll service. We aren't actually paying for it right now. We canceled it because we just didn't have the extra money, but we do want to get it back up and going, and we just wanted to be able to pay one time a year instead of having to calculate it every month. And if we did the monthly contributions we'd need to make are still less than what we were paying a month for it, so that's why that's there. Next is Duolingo. We both use Duolingo. I'm studying Japanese and Quinn's studying everything. Mostly Chinese, but also sometimes like German, sometimes Japanese, sometimes Korean. But my main reason, I'm mostly fine without getting the Duolingo extra stuff, but the one that I really want for me, Japanese finally added podcasts, but it's only on the, I don't even remember what the plan is called, but you know, went on the subscription. And so that, in addition to the personalized practice and everything, it's one thing we want to save up for now. So that's there. And then the other is Nintendo Online. We both have a Nintendo Switch and we both like playing Animal Crossing. So we are going to save up for Nintendo Online so that we can play together with Animal Crossing. That's really all it is. Maybe other things in the future, but for now it's literally just driven by Animal Crossing. I don't actually have it yet on my Switch. I just got my Switch at Christmas, and then we've been then I lost hours at work right after that, and Quinn wasn't able to get as many Spark drives, and it was a gap between getting our current jobs, so we haven't really been worried about it. As soon as we're almost there. As soon as we're able to get the $35 we need for Nintendo Online, that's when I'll start saving up to pay for my own version of Animal Crossing, and then we'll buy the Animal Crossing and the Nintendo then. Until then, the money will sit in here and we'll keep adding to it to get ready for the year after. And then you guys know, my taxes is at like I think it's at like 1%, right? So, is that right? Yeah, 1. Because I don't actually usually need to pay taxes. This is just as a buffer for me. So for me, it's every like $100 I make, I put $1 in, kind of thing. So really small, but like I said, I don't usually end up needing to pay, or if I do for like one of my taxes, the other one covers it. So it's not usually a big deal. I might need at some point to actually upgrade my plan from the free one. If that's the case, that's also what this is for. So Quinn's, though, because Quinn was a freelance driver, they do need to be higher. So I believe, do we still have it at 15.3%? I think so, because that's what we were calculating before. Quinn just started saving for taxes though, so it's still a small amount, but this folder will grow much faster. And you see Mercari taxes, we're starting to resell a couple things on Mercari, and we're probably not going to make enough to even need to report it, but I want to put 10% of every single sale in here just in case we do need to report it, then we at least are somewhat prepared. But we're doing the reselling mostly for, extra bill buffer. So I don't want to save too much of it, because the things we're reselling are only like, $5, $10, $15, $20. It's nothing huge. So I know this is a long video. We've barely even gotten into anything, but I kind of knew going in this would be long. That's why it's its own video. For my high priority, you can see we're finally getting into more of the prop swaps. So the prop swaps for this one, car maintenance will get pulled at 500, Christmas at 100, debt collections at 100, debt payoff at 100. And you see debt payoff has a G because, like I said, it's going into the Golden West account. So I'll get to that when we get to the folder. oh shit, $100 first is going into my lockbox. That was the thing I decided. I wanted to have $100 in change available in case I needed to make some change. So I'll break down $100 into like tens, fives, and ones, and we'll keep it in my lockbox at home so that I have like a little change bank. And then after that, it's gonna go into my stash account, which is what the S represents, and $100 for tattoos, also to stash. And the reason I did stash is because that's more easily accessible versus like putting it into the Ally account. It could be useful in the Ally, but I would use oh shit and tattoos more frequently. So instead of going into the Ally account where it's a bit more of a process, go into the stash account where I could do same day transfers into my checking account if I need the money. And then end of the year, I only have 2 of them that are getting redistributed. So at the end of the year, $100 is gonna stay in car and the rest will go into oh shit. And Christmas, 10% will stay and 90% gets divided into my birthdays. So, you know, if I have like $100 left over in Christmas, I don't need to let that money just sit there. I can utilize it. So $10 would stay to go towards the next Christmas so that I do still have some head start for the next year. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can hear my dog going crazy against the door. He's still outside. But $10 would stay and $90 would get divided into my birthdays so that my birthday categories can have a little boost to get filled up, especially since most of the birthdays I'm currently saving for are at the beginning of the year, right? The last birthday that has an actual date is in July, and there's nothing for the rest of the year. So just as an added boost to make sure they're all filled, especially my mom and my dad who are both in January, whatever I don't spend in Christmas will get added to there. So car maintenance, it's really just, this is one of the few categories that I don't feel the need to really split up. I probably will in the future, either beginning of next year or one of the quarters after that, but I'm fine with anything for car. And part of that is also I don't currently have my own car. My car is sitting dead in the driveway. It would take a lot to fix it, and I just don't have the money for that. I'm actually just going to find someone who will buy it from me as like a junk car, or it's something that could be fixed if people had the time and money, and so if somebody wants to use it as a project car, they can. But I just gotta get around to doing that. But so this is just mostly a generalized car category. So oil changes we've pulled from here. We've pulled extra gas money if we don't have it. You know, registration, all of that would be from this category. And that's why it's empty, because we had to get an oil change before we went down to, or went out of town the other day. So that's why it's currently empty, but that's what that's for. Christmas, pretty self-explanatory. So debt collections, which I had originally written collections and then I had added debt in parentheses because I kept thinking of collections as, you know, me collecting things. And I'm gonna switch this around when I redo all of my labels so it says debt collections, because I don't like the way this is laid out. But so because of me, this is part of me falling behind, right? I actually have a lot of things that are currently in collections. So what I decided is I wanted to have a category where I'm saving up money, and as I get offers in the mail, I'm gonna be keeping track of them. And the goal is I want to have money in here that maybe I'll get an offer to solve it for $300 and I have $300. And then I can just take this and completely take care of that, right? So you'll see I have this page here, and some of them I don't know who the current creditor is. So, but these are the ones I know are a current debt. And so I just wrote them down, and as I get offers in, you know, here's the original amount that I owed. See, like my Hot Topic, right? It's at $679. So if they came to me and they were like, hey, we can do $300 to clear this debt, then I want to be able to pay it. So I don't have many that are too much. My Upstart I know is like 7,000-8,000, because that was a credit card consolidation that, went well for about 2 months, and then I had to use all my credit cards again, and so it all just kept ballooning. But then I have my creditor, and then PP stands for payment plan. And like I said, currently I have a plan with Midland. So my plan is, I don't want to have plans with everyone yet, because then I'll just be in the same place where I can't pay anything. So as soon as I'm good with this, I'll cross it off, and then I can make a new payment plan with somebody, right? So this is just my little sheet that I keep in here to help me keep track. And as I get offers in the mail, I'll update it so that I just kind of have an idea of where the current standing is with everything. So next is my debt payoff. This one's slightly different. So I wanted to have a folder where I'm focusing on a current debt. And the one I'm focusing on first, like I mentioned before, is my grandma. So my grandma helped me out with a lot of financial stuff back in like 2015 to 2017. And I have a sheet where I've tracked everything she's paid for me or whatever, and the amounts I've been able to pay her back so far, along with the running total. And I haven't been able to pay her in a few years. And every time I talk to her about it, she always tells me to focus on what I need for now, not to worry about it. But I really don't like that I borrowed so much money from my grandma and haven't been able to pay her back. Because it was things like getting out of a lease early because I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it financially. Helping me pay off old bills, helping me buy things for a new apartment when I finally moved in. She wouldn't let me add all of them to the IOUs, so we had to work out an agreement on. She had bought me like a microwave and a brand new set of pots and pans, and I was like, okay, you can't have bought all this for me. So it's things like that are on there, and paying for vet visits, things like that. So I really want to work on paying them back. But if I look at this big number, I'm never going to get anywhere. It used to be I had a set amount I paid her every month, and I haven't been able to do that. So what I'm doing is every $100, it goes to that Golden West account, because like I said, she also has one. So I figured this was the easiest way. And then every time I get $500 in that account, it's pretty easy to transfer from account to account within the bank. So I can just transfer it to her account every $500, and then I'll start working on like paying it down. And then also like for myself, so that in the future I don't forget what I decided, I just wrote here, after I finish paying off my grandma, the next focus is going to be that Weber payment that I'm paying every month. I just want to also be saving up, and I'll figure out a plan on extra payments to just get it knocked out of the way. And then next after that will probably be my current payment plan for my debt. But I liked to have these two separate, so I've got money saving up for possible debt collections I can pay and get off of my credit report, and then a debt payoff where it's a focused debt that I'm working on. I'm not doing anything like the snowball plan or anything from Dave Ramsey, but this is just the way it's worked for me. I have my current bills, and then I've just got money that I'm setting aside to work on a debt payoff. When it gets to the Weber State one, it'll probably be kind of the same concept. Every $100 will equal me making an extra payment kind of thing. So, and then obviously my oh shit category, this is my emergency fund. We just enjoy saying oh shit instead, so that's why it's called that. But just like backup money, the plan is, I've got money in this and I've got money in my stash checking account. So the plan is for me to use my stash account first, and if I still don't have enough money, then I can pull from here. But if we're pulling in cash, then I'll just use this. But that's kind of the idea, is to transfer it to my credit card if I need it, or not my credit card, my debit card, if I need it from stash, and then additionally is oh shit. So I want to let this build as much as possible. And then just tattoos. I've wanted tattoos for a long time, and I haven't been able to get any, so I just have a category for it so I can start saving up. Next is low priority. I'll try to go a bit faster, but I do want to explain some of these categories so you know what they are. I know he has shade out there. He just doesn't like being outside. But he's being a bit too much right now, so he needs to stay out for a second and then he can come back in. So low priority. Our prop swap for this one, $100 in Japan going to Ally, and $100 in my vape buffer will go to Stash. Again, same concept as tattoos, right? I'm gonna need this one more frequently, so I want it closer available. And then end of the year distributions for end of the year redistributions for my low priority. Close, 50% will stay and 50% goes into my debt payoff. It's again kind of the idea of rewarding myself for making good adult decisions. I make good adult financial decisions. So I don't spend money on clothes, so it gets to help me pay off a debt. Fun, 50% stays, 50% in tattoos. Again, tattoos and fun kind of correlate. Same with hair and nails, 50 and 50. Hyperfixations, same kind of concept as clothes. 10% will stay, 90% goes into my debt payoff. So hyperfixations, rewarding myself for fighting the urge to just buy. For example, the biggest one for me was about when I was making my budget things. I also was getting super hyper fixated on this, right? So not spending money on extra supplies. Or I also was looking into making candles. So, you know, it's kind of a reward for not giving in and just buying all of the things for my hyperfixation in the moment. Helps me pay off some debts. And then vape buffer, I'll keep $100 in and the rest goes to my oh shit fund, which are in the same category. So if they're already in, if they're already both in Stash, it's just gonna be moving over the prop bills, but we'll see what happens when the year comes. The end of this year, I probably won't even use a lot of these prop swaps. I probably won't have enough to do anything, but in case something happens where I'm able to get some of them up high enough, I just wanted to have it all ready to go. So next is our house funds. And you'll see, if you can see some of these things that are written, you'll see they're not quite the same name that I'm calling them. That's because I already had the names for these binders and I just picked whatever the closest was for all this stuff. So, oh, I didn't actually, let me rewind a bit. I didn't actually flip through the different folders that are in here. So this is my low priority. So we have clothes. Again, the goals are the same thing as they were on those envelopes. Just kind of ignore them. They were originally there for when we didn't think we'd be having much money going in these categories. So they were kind of like our stopping point where we would stop stuffing this and focus on another one. We're not gonna do that anymore. So I just haven't cleared them out. These ones would be easier to take off, but then I would have to readjust the clothes. So just to leave it centered, it's just still there. So clothes, we have fun, which is, you know, just anything that I think can classify under that category. Hair and nails is currently still in the same folder, but I've started splitting it. It's just divided in half here. I've started splitting it just to focus more if I want to add more money towards one specific thing, because, you know, there might be times where I want to specifically do my hair or I want to pull out stuff for my nails. And so I found I just wanted to have them split up. Maybe in the future they'll be their own envelopes, but for now they work just fine. I guess you could also recall this like a self-care envelope, but it's just hair and nails for now. Then we have hyperfixations. Like I said, I do have ADHD, so this is just toward so that I could save up money so that if I get into a new hyperfixation where I do want to buy things for it, I can have the money set aside for it. And then Japan. So Japan, the ultimate goal is I do actually want to live in Japan. I want to move there, but obviously I've got a lot of like collections and everything that I wouldn't be able to just go. So if I'm never able to move there, which I'm kind of unfortunately accepting that's probably going to be the case, but we'll see. If I'm never able to move there, I at least want to be able to visit. So this is just a category for that. Either just getting to visit, getting to go to a language school for a couple months, which was my first initial thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to go to a 3-month language school, but they recommended about $10,000 to bring with you. So I don't know. We'll see if that ever happens, but it is something I want to save for. If nothing else, just to go on vacation there finally. I know it kind of just seems like it's a weeb thing because I have all the anime stickers, but I've actually loved Japan since back when my aunt lived there when I was really, really little. She used to send me some things from Japan. I love the culture, I love the language, just the writing is beautiful, their artwork is beautiful. So it's just, I've always kind of been in love with Japan. So if nothing else, I want to be able to go visit there at least once in my lifetime. And then the vape buffer I kind of explained at in my cash stuffing video. Sorry, I just realized I've never, oh my gosh, I'll go let my dog in just a second. Okay, sorry, ADHD moment. My God. So I kind of explained this in my cash stuffing video. This folder doesn't get stuffed from my budget. What this is when I have my vape budget and I use up the money and I have some left over, instead of getting rolled over the way all the rest of my money does, it gets rolled over into this. And that's because there were some months I couldn't afford to go buy juice for myself or anything. But the main thing is my mod is actually broken. It still works, but it's supposed to be a magnetized top. And the part it's supposed to magnetize to, the screws came out and I lost the pieces, so I can't even fix it. So I have to like hold the tip down in order to, or I have to hold the tank down in order to use it. So I want to get a new one. The one I was looking at is going to be about $135 to include the mod and a couple batteries for it, because I want to get an external battery because this one's an internal and I haven't really liked it. I don't like having to carry my portable with me all the time or wait. I prefer just being able to swap out batteries when they die. So yeah. And I'm not necessarily promoting vaping. I'm not gonna say it every time like I did when I first filmed. I was so paranoid about being seen as promoting it, but really I'm 28 years old. I can make the decisions for myself, but I will say, I'm not really promoting it. I just personally, I can't afford to go to therapy or anything, and medication for my ADHD doesn't work. And unfortunately, I know self-medicating is bad, but it is one of the only things that have helped me, as well as I vape menthols and I have a lot of pain and the menthol helps with my pain. So definitely not good. I recognize that. I recognize the side effects and everything. So I do just want to say that as kind of a disclaimer, but it is something that's personally going to be a part of my budget. And since I'm sharing my budgeting journey, I'm not going to hide from that. It is a part of my budget because it's something that is at this moment in time necessary for me to just be able to get through. And like 420 is legal here, but I personally, I can't stand the smell of the smoke, and like the gummies and everything don't really do anything for me when I've tried them. So this is kind of the best option I have at this time for what I need it for. But again, just disclaimer, it's not something to just do to be cool, like all of that. If there's any kids watching, like, don't think this is me telling you like, yeah, go vape, but no. Anyway, let me go get my dog back in because he's starting to be very annoying, and he's already almost broken the screen door before. He's a big boy. So, one second. Okay, I'm back. Normally I would have waited to let him in until he had calmed down, but it is actually really hot outside. We live in New Mexico, and it's getting up there. You can hear him gulping back his water again. He's a husky Saint Bernard mix, so he's got a really thick fur coat. So I didn't want to leave him out too much longer anyway. So you'll probably hear him in the background again. I'm already gonna have to edit out so much of him banging on that door, so. All right, so next we're in our house funds. So the prop swaps, again, you see a little asterisk. For the prop swap, that means it's not necessarily a prop swap, but it is a bill move. So $100, instead of being swapped with a prop and getting moved into a savings account, when we get $100 in our house funds, it's going to be moved to our house projects and split up $20 in everything. So spare house money goes into the projects that we need in our house. So $100 for restaurants will be in our stash account, and $100 for sibling day also in stash. So again, more easily accessible. If I do find that the temptation then is too much because it's easily accessible, then I'll start figuring out some at least to switch over back to more Ally, which is more difficult to access. But for now, I think I'll be fine as long as I have them all labeled what they're supposed to be for. And end of the year redistributions for house funds, restaurants, $100 will stay, $10 will move to cravings, and the rest will go into the house funds. And then sibling day, 50% stays, and then the other 50% is split between me and Quinn. 25% I'll just give to Quinn to do with whatever they want. And then 25% for me, my portion I decided will go into my stocks account. So I'm hoping to at least get, I've got a few different categories that have a lot of things that will be coming into them. So I'm hoping that it at least helps me get a good jump start for the beginning of the next year, with having some money saved. So now we'll go through. Cravings is for like little snack things, or if we're just like, I really want Taco Bell, but I don't have the food budget for it, then we'll go and we'll pull money from here. Next is drinks. Now, originally this was actually for alcohol, but we kept pulling it just for normal soda and stuff. So you'll see I made an actual alcohol category. Now this is just drinks. Again, ignore the goal numbers, though I will say they may actually stay in this category. I haven't decided yet, but so this is just for like soda. And then happy hour is our alcohol. It's called happy hour just honestly because I didn't want to move the placements. I don't know if you've noticed, but all of my zipper envelopes alternate and where the zippers are when they're closed, and that's honestly because it's the best way for it to all fit in here, and I just also prefer it that way. So I decided to just call it happy hour because this used to be the office envelope, I believe. Or maybe not. It was something that I moved out of here, so it was already sitting here. And I didn't want to have to redo all of these envelopes in order to move it up to the front. So I just happy hour fit alphabetically because it also has to be in alphabetical order for me. So happy hour is for alcohol, if we're getting alcohol for the house, if we go out to drink, things like that. And again, so this house funds binder is for all of us, right? It's not just for me. It's for us to use for the house, or as a house, if we need the extra money, we can pull from here because we're all contributing to it. So it's kind of just agreed on money that's just getting pooled for certain categories. And any of us can use it if we need to. So house funds is just a miscellaneous fund, but it was called that back before I had the house fund budget book. So It's kind of redundant, house funds and house funds, but it's just what we were used to calling it. So this is just miscellaneous money. We do actually have a card in here, but it's not really applicable anymore. But basically, extra money for Amazon that we need, or grocery budget, or just like if we buy something for the house that doesn't fit in any other category, it can come from here. So, all right, and so then restaurants, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. If we want to go to a restaurant, we have the fund for it. And then sibling day is just for anything Quinn and I want to go do together. We have the money set aside here for it. And then we also have our groceries back here, which I showed before. And we put it in this envelope so that we can just take the envelope with us. No matter who's taking it, it can just fit in Quinn's bag, or I can take it with me. And so the grocery money just stays in here and it goes back in the envelope. Had a bit of a break while Quinn was out to talk, and Quinn made me some food. But while we were talking, I realized I was supposed to be updating my trackers. That was like the whole point, is going through the binders as I updated the trackers. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put that back real quick. We're gonna pull this out. I forgot because I went through the budget book, but I was gonna show this after the budget book and then use it as I went. So we're gonna kind of take a quick rewind. I'm gonna show you this, and then we'll go back through bills and do a quick update of all my trackers. And then as we go on from household bills, because we still have about half, just over half left, I'll update as I explain. So sorry about that. ADHD brain, it's been a couple days. This is why I wanted to do it while I was all thinking about how I wanted to do it a couple days ago, because then I would think about it. But so at the very front, you can see I started these in July because I don't really have anything to go into these. But we have an expense check-in, so I will use my expenses tracker book. So for July, say, just using these as an example, right? Because I have a couple in here. What I would do is I'd find which category had the most things. Right now it's gonna be house funds because I have 6 things, right? So the total would be just over $4. So I would put house funds, and I put 4, and then my lowest, my lowest category so far is probably fun. So I would put fun at $135. And it's just for me to be able to check, see how much I'm spending in which category, if I need to focus on that, see which one I'm doing really, really well in, and not spending too much. So it's just a way for me to have a quick glance at my budget from the highest end and the lowest end. And then my savings updates, I have stocks, my stash account, my Golden West, and the Ally. So again, I really hope I get the Ally because I've put it in, I've put it in permanent marker in my book. And I don't like having to mess with things, use whiteout or anything like that. I really like things to be neat and clean. And you'll see I have, I don't know if you guys can see that, but I have little questions with each category to remind myself what the focus is for that. So expense, how much am I using my cards? So it's not generalized like pulling cash out too. It's just, what am I using my cards for very often? So what do I need to focus on if I'm gonna pull out my card? What am I really good about not using my card for? Things like that. And then the savings question is, how is my money growing in the background? So like I said, I could have put a June here for my stocks and my stash account, and technically my Golden West savings, but I just didn't think about it until after I'd already inked it all in. So yeah, I'll try to show, if I remember, I'll try to put on screen again a flash or a screenshot of my stocks account, where it's currently standing. That's the current number. And yeah, we'll just see how that grows from there, along with everything else as it gets added. And again, you see color coordination, right? I really like the rainbow. I am also a part of the LGBTQ community, so it's kind of a big deal for me. But so what'll happen is July, everything will be written in red, then orange. Then colors just help my mind really do a quick process of what I'm looking at if it's all color coded and separated. So for the month, everything will be in black and then red and then orange. It changed based on the tracker, so don't worry too much about it. But business profits is another one that doesn't start till July. And I have just 3 of them, but it's how much our business is growing. So this is just going to be the total that we earned. It's not going to take into account any of our, separations, deductions, whatever. It's just how much did we earn in the month. So QS stands for quintessential stitch. I didn't want to write out because we keep picking big names for things. So QS, quintessential stitch. And then NB is obviously neurodivergent budgets. That could be YouTube. That could be if I start an Etsy. If I'm making money from it, I just want to have it here. And then this will also help us when we do our taxes at the end or next year, just to have a quick glance to work with. And then again, I did put Mercari in here just to track in case we do start making enough on that to report it. There's a place for it. But then is bills, and you'll see this does actually have a June, so I can actually update it. And this is the question for this one is how close are we to a month ahead? So it's just kind of for me to look at to see. So we can actually update this one. Let me make sure everything's in frame. It looks like it is. Hopefully it is blocked a little bit by my stand, but that's okay. So rent, we pulled, and I will always do my trackers after I do my cash unstuffing. So it's after my unstuffing, what's left in there. So rent we pulled, so it's at 0. BarkBox we looked at, and it has 50. You'll see I'm not really using, do I want to use dollar symbols? I usually don't like using dollar signs everywhere because I feel like it makes it look messy. No, I guess we will. So 0 there, 50 there. Nelnet is student loans, which has 20. Oh, now I have to write my zeros like that because I started. I don't usually do that unless it's the only number, but it's fine. Weber also has 20. No, it'll bother me if it's not. Credit cards. Is at 2045. And then Yarn Buddy, you see it's in a different color, and that is just to represent the fact that it's an annual. So Yarn Buddy needs $20. Right now we have 5, 6, 7, and 8 in there. So that's the personal bills updated. Household bills. YouTube currently has 10, 15, 16, 17, and 18. See, and my dollar signs are always different angles and different. That's why I normally don't write in them, but it's okay. Why didn't I slide these in this smoothly when I was doing my cash stuffing video? Next is cell phone. Cell phone has 150 and 70, so 170. Solis, can you settle, my love? You make me antsy when you're wandering all the time. Amazon is tilted, first off. Amazon's got 50, 75. And again, you'll see with rent and Amazon in here, they don't have a number. And that's because right now, I was debating with rent to put the 400, but because I don't know when our current agreement will stop, I just kind of, it's whatever amount I can give. So this is probably gonna be 0 for a while. But I still included it in case we manage to get above the 400 and I start being able to set aside some. And Amazon, like I said, there's no set number there, so that's why those two don't have numbers. Car insurance is next. We currently have 50, 75, 6, 7, 8, 79. In car insurance. You can also see with my trackers, I didn't have a spot to compare. Okay, he's just scratching. I didn't have a spot to compare the change because I don't really feel like I personally need that. I can tell by looking at it if it went up or down or anything, so. Especially with bills, they're so fluctuating. The only reason I'm tracking them is to track to getting a month ahead. So we have 50, 70, 80 in internet right now, which probably all of our utilities will probably actually have to get pulled this month because again, Quinn's still out of work and my paychecks aren't too much. So don't know if you'll be able to hear Solis in the background. He got his crinkle whale toy. So gas has 2035, which you can see here. Sorry, the estimated numbers. So internet's almost always 102.98 unless we have a late fee or something. But then for these that we estimated based off of kind of the average of a couple months payments. And so those are the goals that we're going towards, which calculates about to, if we are good, it's $72 each a paycheck to get all of these filled. So $40 is our estimate for gas, $100 is our estimate for water, $8 is our estimate for electric, and $40 is our estimate for buffer. And we did actually get what the numbers are. Where did I put it? Yeah, so we did get our numbers. I just jotted it down on here because our tracker wasn't ready. Our gas this month is 27, so that's under our estimate. Water is 87, which is under our estimate. Electric is 8. It's almost always 8. And internet again is 102. So the numbers are pretty accurate so far for our estimations, which means if we were able to contribute the entire time and didn't lose any work, we would have been fine. Okay, so moving on, next we have water, which is at 20, 40, 60, 65. So you can see from the numbers I just gave, we are short a couple in our actual amounts we've been able to stuff, but I still have one more paycheck to try and get as much money for it as possible. And if I'm not able to set aside that money, we do have enough in our buffer. So we'll be fine for July. It's just then August I'm worried about still being on only my paycheck. So we might have to figure something else out for August, but for July we're good, which is my main focus right now. So electric has 5, 6, 7, 8. So again, spot on there. Electric will probably build up the fastest for a buffer. And once we get to a certain point, I'll probably just stop worrying about stuffing electric for a while. It's only $2, but I could use that somewhere else. And then our buffer is at 20, 40, 60, and 61. And our annuals, I'm not gonna pull out the whole thing, we'll just pull out the money. So Crunchyroll's got 25, 26. We need 100 for that one. Excuse me. Next is Duolingo, which needs 120, and so far we're at 20, 35, 36. I stuff these ones pretty evenly, so there's not too much variation in them. But a couple of them here and there got a little bit more or a little bit less, just based on how much we could set aside for our annuals, because they're not a priority. And then Nintendo again needs 35, and we're at 25, 26. So like I said, we're almost there for Nintendo. We could knock it out of the way, but we're not worrying about it just yet because I can't even afford Animal Crossing, and gotta get that, like, what, $50? I just realized I didn't put a spot on here for my taxes. Do I want to include it? Probably should, actually. So I will just write it in, and then off camera I'll add the border as well. So we'll also track our taxes. So it'll be about here. So Jesse taxes. It'll be Quinn taxes. And do I want to include Mercari? No, because that would go under a business thing. Okay, so my taxes has 41. Yeah, like I said, I'll go in and I'll extend this off camera. I could just do it now, but the ruler that I have is a really long one, and I just don't want to deal with it at the moment, so. And then Quinn's taxes is at 20, 40, 1, 2, 43. All right. So now we get into our actual binder sinking fund trackers. And every page is like this. It's outlined and color-coded based on the binder. And then it's got a section for a graph. Graphs really help me visualize and conceptualize the things I'm looking at. And you'll see each category has its own color so that I can use it on the graph. So let me get out the colors I'm going to need. For now, there's a couple other colors, but they're only on a few pages, so it's fine. And for this one, I need this blue. We can put up this. So, I don't know where I was trying to put that. high priority. Let's actually move all these colors over here. Put them in. Put them in order. Rainbow. I love these pens. By the way, in case anyone's wondering, these are the Papermate. They're a flare pen. They have so many colors. I was able to do a color for every single binder, and I still have a couple colors left over. So, never decide where I want my strap. Okay. So first up, car maintenance has nothing. Christmas. Let me switch pens before I accidentally write with the wrong color. Christmas has 25, 26, which actually, let me also update the graph as I go. Next is debt collections. Which has $6. Quinn's trying to be so quiet in the background, and I appreciate it. But it's also cooking, so kind of a hard task to do. Next is debt payoff. Which has 11. Oh shit has 20, 30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 35. Last is tattoos, which has 40. There we go. And now if we had any that were the same, if we have it in the future, we probably will. That's why I gave myself so much space. I'll just put them right next to each other in the lineup so they don't go over each other. Let me grab my calculator real quick. Can you see that on camera? Kind of, okay. So we have 26 plus, hide that. 26 plus 6, oh, didn't register the plus sign. We'll say the keys kind of stick on this, but it was just part of a kit, so I'm not really surprised. 26 plus 6 plus 11 plus 35 plus 40 equals. Obviously, I'm not going to graph this number. This is just for me to keep track of each fund. And actually, because part of the reason why I like doing this is because since the money's so split up, I don't really realize how much money I have, so I don't think, oh, I have the money to spend. but it's kind of nice to see, like, we're only in one, and I've already saved $118 this year. Like, that's insane to me. I'm gonna actually pull out my calculator, try to keep with me as I do this, and then that'll be good to go. Okay, so that is our high priority done. Next, we need our low priority. I still can't believe that I forgot that this was the plan, was I was going to explain it as I did this, so that it wasn't just me explaining everything, and then I did that anyway, and so now this video is gonna be like twice as long. All right. Clothes currently has $5, $6, $7, $8. Oh, where'd the lid go? Got it. All right, fun. Has $2. You'll see some of these are at 200. I made my graphs based on what I think they might get to by the end of the year, and the only reason these ones are higher is because more money goes into them each paycheck than the others. The others are almost all at only 100. So sorry if I keep clearing my throat. I coughed and it's like something's like caught in it. So hair and nails, I did decide to just count the category together. So we have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 in hair and nails, or in hair, I'm sorry. So 14. Okay. Just didn't want to forget the number. And then 2 more, so 16 total. Not gonna lie, I mostly kept hair and nails together on here so that I still had the 6 envelope colors. Hyperfixations is at 2. So you'll see that's what I was talking about. These are the same number, so I gave myself space so I could just put them next to each other instead of having to be on top. I want to still be able to see all of the colors. In Japan, I believe we put 4 in, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, yes. Japan did have money in it before, but I ended up taking it out for a bill because it wasn't a necessary budget. And put it on top of there because I didn't want to squeeze it between the orange and the red. Vape buffer is going to be one of the only ones right now up at the top. It's got 55. Our totals here, we have 8 plus 2 plus 16 plus 2 plus 4 plus 55 equals 87. Is that right? Yeah, it should be. So not as much as my high priority, but that makes sense because that's why it's high and low. I always stuff more in my high priority. And next up is house funds, and then we can finally go back to doing it the way it was supposed to be done, where I explain as I go. The good news about this is I can just check my tracker because we just did the cash stuffing, so I know that the tracker is correct. So we have $7 in cravings. In the future, I'll probably still pull them out to count on camera, but this is already gonna be a long video and I literally just checked them, so. Drinks is at $6. Happy hour has $2. So you see this one only goes to 100. Oh no. House funds has 26. Restaurants has 6. And sibling day has 8. Okay, so we have 7 plus 6 plus 2 plus 26 plus 6 plus 8. 55. Still not bad for our house funds because we've been taking money in and out, so. Not too bad, not too bad. All right. So next is our house projects. So our house projects are things that mostly were originally in our house funds, but I decided I wanted it to have its own folder for us. So for this one, we have prop swap is $100 in home repair goes to Ally, $500 in the office, and $500 in the yard. And the reason those are higher is because we might buy little things for each here and there. So maybe we'll buy the seed that we need for the yard, or dirt, or some cement, or for the office, maybe we'll get like our desks or something. And so we might be spending like between $100 and $400 here and there. So I don't want to take the money out until $500. And at the end of the year, there's only 2. Decor, 50% will stay, 50% moves to the office, and furniture, 50% stays, 30% goes into the yard, and 20% will go into home repair. So that's the end of the year redistributions. So decor, these are all mostly self-explanatory. So it's fine. Decor has $1, $2, $3, $4. Oh, I forgot that I have trackers in these ones too. Cool. I'm just gonna do the trackers again, just save a little bit of time. And again, I just checked these, so they're fine. So furniture has 14. Next is home repair. Home repair only has $3 in it right now. We have a lot that needs to be fixed in our house. You'll see this one's back up to 200, and that's because we just have bigger numbers and there's 3 of us saving. Bigger numbers we want to reach, and there's 3 of us saving in here again. So house funds, there's 3 of us contributing, but that one's more in and out. This one's like long-term, so that's why. Office has 14 again. And yard also has $4 in it. Those didn't have to be quite as close together as they are, but it's fine. And we do have another folder in here for Quinn's room. I might eventually actually add one in for my room as well, but we're not going to be tracking this because it's literally just saving up for one specific thing. It's for Quinn. And same thing for mine. I'll probably use like extra money somewhere here and there, just for buying things for my room. So let's figure out our total. We have 4 plus, eventually I'm getting a better one. Okay, 4 plus 14 plus 3 plus 14 and 4. 39. Not too bad, not too bad. This is still a recent binder, so I'm not upset with that. Next is travel, which I do my color coding for travel with the gold. That's because this is like a gold marbled, which I really love, the black and the gold together. But I use the gold because black for me usually represents my wallet. So yeah. In travel, all the envelopes in travel will get moved at $100. And then the end of the year redistributions, flight and gas, 20% stay, 10% go into the travel miscellaneous, and 70% into Japan. Lodging, it's 50 stays, 10 in travel, and 40% into Japan. And then food and souvenirs, 10% stays, 10% in travel miss, and 80% to Japan. So again, you see like it all kind of ties together. Whatever I save not traveling goes towards a future trip. So let me grab the color I will need for the totals. And also, this strap is annoying me, so let me put it away. All right, in flights, we have $2. I'm pretty sure these all have $2, so let me just peer in. Yeah, because when we went traveling, I redistributed the money that was left over. So these might all just have $2 in them right now. Well, it makes for a boring start, but it makes a very pretty line. I don't know how well you can see it on screen, but a very pretty line of colors. And we'll go everywhere else. We don't even need to bring out our calculator for this one either. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So $12. But you know what? After coming back from our trip, that's still pretty good. Next is health. You see, we actually need some other colors, so let me grab all those. Okay. These all just over here, it's fine. So we need Alright, you see everything's pretty much got a prop swap, but contacts and emergency don't swap until $500. My contacts are about $80 for an eye, I think, if I remember correctly, so there's no point until then. Everything else is at 100, and at the end of the year, everything, obviously except for emergency, $100 will stay, and then the rest goes towards emergency. And that's specifically, obviously, but specifically for a health emergency is what that's for. So you'll see I have a couple of these folders. I haven't decided if I'm going to use them in here or not, but I'm probably going to use these in birthdays eventually. I don't know. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in contacts. Why did I not condense that the other day? You know what? Normally I don't do this, but I still have my condensed money with me. This should be condensed, so I'm just gonna do it. So we have a $5 bill for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because I don't know why that got missed. Probably just another factor of the craziness that was that night. Which, just as a reminder, if you guys would be interested in this, let me know. So $5 in contacts. Dentist has $1. Doctor's at $1. Emergency has 11. Glasses has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one should also have been condensed. So I'm just gonna do it. Next is the optometrist. Has $1. Prescriptions has 6. Specialist has $1. And therapist has 0. So we have 5, 1, 1, 11, 5, oh, 5, 1, 1, 11, 5, 1, 6, 1, and 0. So 31. See, like if I just had $30 in a folder, I would just spend it wherever. So I want to have it split up for medical stuff. And just keep most of those off to the side and put that one back. Next is birthdays, which are pretty much all gonna have the same, so I might speed run this one through again. So 0 was in friends. Miscellaneous has 3. So some different numbers. So again, we don't really need a calculator for this one. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, $10 in here. We're almost done. 3 binders left. I'm gonna take a quick break and I'll be right back. Okay. Just needed a quick moment. Next is pets. Oh, I didn't really explain who any of the people were in my birthdays, but it's all family, and then Gabe is, again, our roommate slash landlord, so. But they're all just various members of the family, specifically ones that I'm closer with or I live closer to. My family's kind of all over the place and it's pretty big, so if I were to say for everybody, like, it would be too much. I do wish I could at least have both sets of grandparents in there, so they're probably the first ones I'll add when I am able to start adding into my binders. But for now, I just had to pick, like I said before, I had to pick based on my budget and the number of available envelopes who I was gonna start saving for. And I might not even be able to buy anyone anything, honestly, for the first little bit, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so in pets, start off with our little slip of paper. So for cat vet and dog vet, again, if I need to go to the vet, I want to have a decent amount of money on hand to take with or to pay myself back. But $500 for both of those will swap out, and then $100 in miscellaneous will swap out. Everything else we use pretty regularly, so I don't even think it'll reach the point where we need to swap. And then end of the year, grooming, 20% stays, 30% to cat food, and 50% to dog food. And then miscellaneous, 10% stays, 30% to cat vet, and 60% to dog vet. So. Cat food currently has 11. Cat vet, also 11. Dog food, 10, 15, 16. Dog vet has 7, 5, 6, 7. Grooming has 6. And miscellaneous has 1, 2, 3, 4. So So we have 11 plus 11, 16, 7, 6, and 4. So we have 55 in pets. Next, we're moving on to future. So for this, we only have a prop swap. These are long-term savings, so none of them are getting redistributed at the end of the year. They're getting money added to them. $100 in all envelopes will get moved over. And I just realized I didn't show the birthdays one, so let's do that real quick. But birthdays is just the opposite. There's no prop swap. It's just end of the year redistribution. So an asterisk, again, meaning not necessarily at the end of the year. Leftover money after the birthday is over goes to the miscellaneous. So say my dad's birthday passes, I have $1 left, that'll just get added back to miscellaneous. And miscellaneous is to help add extra to any birthdays. And then at the end of the year in miscellaneous, 50% is divided evenly into the birthday envelopes and the rest is split up in the future binder. So if there's 10 left, $5 will get split up by my choosing in the birthdays, and then 5 is split into futures. So just caught back up on that. So first up is business, which has 6. House has 15. Kids, which by the way, I am nowhere near close to having kids. I don't even have a partner, but I want to save up for if anything happens in the future. So we have $1 though. Miscellaneous, which I don't know about you guys. I was so torn on all of my miscellaneous categories where to put them because I'm doing everything alphabetical order, but miscellaneous feels like a last envelope thing. But alphabetical won over in the end. 1, 2, 3, 4 in miscellaneous. New car has 6. And then wedding only has the 1, I believe, right? Yes. We have 6, 15, 1, 4, 6, and 1. 33. Oh, just dropped it. 33. All right. Last but not least for the binders, we have the cousins. And again, I do still technically have 2 more here, but they're for our business, so I will go over them when the time comes when we actually have to put money in them. So prop swap for this folder, all envelopes at 100, and end of the year redistributions, Christmas 10% will stay in here, 90% split evenly into the, Christmas stays in the Christmas envelope, 10, and then 90% is split evenly into the other envelopes. So, and again, that's specifically this envelope's Christmas, not my normal Christmas one. Okay, so K has 1, 2, 3, 4, which I think everyone has 4. Anniversary has 2, which my plan for their anniversary is just to be able to like give them a gift card or something to go out and eat, just spoil them a bit, but I don't know, I gotta be able to save up the money for it first. Again, if you missed my first cash stuffing video, the reason we have this envelope for my cousins is Kay is my best friend, but you'll notice there's no dates on any of these, and we use nicknames for them, and that's because they want their privacy, and I want to respect that because they have a kid now. So I won't really be discussing any dates or anything with you guys. Nothing that can help narrow anything down or whatever. So Christmas is a 10. And I'm not going to use a calculator because this one's easy. It's 4, 8, 12, 14, 24. Alrighty. So that is it for my tracker updates. I will just show you though. I haven't finished making all of these, but you'll see this is at the end of the year when I do my redistributions, this is the tracker I'll use. So they're all just color coded by their binder. The second page isn't inked in yet, but for this first one that is done, I have it as current, what's staying, what's moving, and where it's moving to. And then I don't even know if you guys can see any of this, but it has, for the other side of it will be the fund, the current, incoming, and the new total. So when I get that all finished by the end of the year, when we use it, you'll just see it then. Sorry, centering might be a little off. I had to just mess with my camera. I had a low power alert, which is fine because we're almost done. So let me put these away quick. So last thing for me to show before I leave, there's 2 more actually. So the first was this little box, right? So I showed you guys my prop money earlier. The part I didn't show you is this. So I have, again, these little see-through sticky notes. So each one is color coded. So we have Ally, Stash, Golden West, and Lockbox. Basically what'll happen is when I put in the prop money, this isn't just another little trick I found is going to help my brain a lot with it. So when I have the prop money, say this is going in my oh shit, right? First $100 is going into my lockbox. So then lockbox is pink. So I would just take the pink one and I'm just gonna be putting it on top of it. So then I just have a signifier when I'm going through of where that money is at, and I don't have to track it down. So that's one of the little tips and tricks I have that I think is going to be really helpful in the future, especially in the stash where I'm gonna have money in two places. So one's gonna represent the bank, one will represent my lockbox. And then the other last little thing I'm just gonna show you for now. I might have forgotten something else, but this is already going to be way too long of a video. If you guys have stuck with me for this long, thank you so much. But this is my other thing. So I have these little sheets here, and it's just up in front of me, right on the wall, right at eye level. And it's just a review of the week. Red are the bills, obviously green is payday, and then purple right now is just anything else I need to do. Purple's with budgeting specifically. So what we're going to do is real quick before I log off, I'm just going to get next week's ready on camera. My goal is to do this with the at the end of the cash condensing videos. So even though technically it's already Monday, we'll still just make this. So we are now in July. So today is the 3rd. Okay. So, first things first is, and I'll just bring this over as just my quick, I'm gonna make a nicer cheat sheet, but this is just my cheat sheet for all my bills. So just to double check, YouTube came out today, but I'll still write it down. And then we also have on the 8th, is phone, and most bills don't get pulled out on the weekend, so I don't really specify which one's which, but I do, sorry, I forgot to put 32 for YouTube. And phone this time is actually 178. If you missed it before, in the condensing video, they knocked $10 off this month for some reason, not sure why, but I'm also not going to argue about it. So that's it for, oh, nope. Oh yeah, usually Nelnet, but Nelnet's not pulling out yet. So that's it for this month. And see, like, this is my point about writing them down everywhere. Also, I've got marker colors all over me now. So my point about writing it down everywhere though is I've been doing this for so long and I have a general idea, but it still is much easier for me to be able to look at it and see what I'm doing. So next, obviously no payday this week because it was payday last week. What I need to do this week for this, I'm actually, we'll say film video because we're doing that today, so that's done. I'm gonna say tomorrow we need to finish editing all of my videos. I've already started, but I need to finish them. As far as budgeting goes, what else do I need to do? Because really this should have been in the color for YouTube. I just forgot. I just picked my favorite colors for this. Normally I would have used red for YouTube stuff, but since I'm already using it for bills, I didn't want another red on there. So film video, finish editing. Let's say I want to post my cash stuffing Wednesday. You guys will be able to tell me if I stuck to this or not. Post the unstuffing on Thursday. And post this video, which, what am I gonna call it? I guess tracker update on Friday. Now, normally I want to post cash stuffing out or filming everything on Friday, and I'm gonna post the cash stuffing Saturday and cash condensing on Sunday. That's my goal. We'll see if I get to it. Now there is I do still have the money from Gabe that comes in. I just don't know if I want to film anything with it or if I'm just going to cash stuff it. I think I'm just gonna cash stuff it because I'm already behind on last week's videos. So that's fine. My goals this week for budgeting are, I'm gonna say stick to $10 more. I've already spent a lot on my credit cards this week, but I do have a couple more days with work, and we might be going out of town one last time. So I'll give myself about $10 more on my credit card to spend. Any other goals? I guess keep using my expense tracker. Yeah. And then my goals here are just finish my videos. Okay, so then for next week, now this does go Monday to Sunday, which always throws me off because my weeks are, I always consider weeks Sunday to Saturday, and then my work weeks are also Saturday to Wednesday is our work week, and then Thursday and Friday is our restock days, so it's like, it's weird. So next week will be the 10th through 10 through when? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, right, 16. Okay, so the 10th through the 16th. First thing we do is always check bills. And I'm actually gonna write the dates on here this time so that next time when I transfer it over, it'll be easier. So 10th through the 16th. 10th we have Amazon. Then the only other one we have is Weber on the 15th. So I do this so that I can make sure if I have to pull the money still, I can. If I have to transfer the money from an account, I can. Because the longer the money just sits in my account, the more likely I am to spend it. If I just do it right before it's due, that's worked the best for me. So that's it for bills for next week. It's also payday next week on the 14th, which means Weber's actually coming out of that paycheck. So that's good. Any budget thing? Oh, so then since it's payday, that means I will need to withdraw my cash, or I'll need to finalize my budget. So basically what goes in here are the things I know need to be put in. And then sometimes like these, I'll think of something else. But these are the things that will need to get drawn up the next time. So finalize budget. And then pulling expenses. And then we'll be filming cash stuffing, and condensing. And then editing and posting them. It's taking me a while to do the editing right now because I'm still figuring it out, but I think I pretty much have a good idea on how I want these videos to look, so hopefully it'll do better. So now this one will go into my pile of shred stuff because we shred our paper. And then this one, we'll get a new piece of tape and just hang it up. So it's right across from me where I can see it every single time I sit at my desk. Okay, so thank you so much again. I know this has been a long video. They all have been. Now that all my introductions have been out of the way, hopefully my videos will be a little bit shorter. Probably not too much because I do ramble, but hopefully a little bit shorter for you guys. Let's see. Secret word. I didn't do a secret word for the unstuffing video, but let's do, if you've gotten to this point, let's do, is trackers too obvious? You know what? I just watched something with Hunger Games and it made my brain think of it. So if you guys have gotten to this point, put tracker jacker in the comments below because Hunger Games. And also thank you again for watching. If you are, I really appreciate it. I'm not really expecting much on these first few videos, but I'm hoping it finds a few people who could use, or who could either use my advice or help cheer me on and my journey. So I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.